Hey guys, Aaron CybertronVGC here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the Online Series 2 VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'm going to be trying out the Sandy SHOCKS and Espathra duo, which I think is actually kind of underrated at the moment. The general idea is that Sandy SHOCKS gets access to gravity, and with gravity, you can turn Espathra's Hypnosis into an 100% accurate sleep-inducing move, which is obviously very powerful. In addition, Espathra can lower opposing special defenses through Lumina Crash, and that allows you to take advantage and deal more damage with all of your special attackers, and of course Sandy SHOCKS and Espathra are both special attackers. Furthermore, you can increase your speed on both Pokemon, Espathra through Speed Boost and Booster Energy on the Sandy SHOCKS, allowing you to very quickly outpace all of the common Pokemon in the format after just a turn or two. And so, it's really fast-paced, it's really offensive, but these Pokemon also have good bulk behind them, and the team also has some fun picks like Life Orb Talonflame, Assault Vest Hydreigon, Iron Bundle, as well as Citrus Berry Serena. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down in the description below. And thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoyed, really appreciate if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. Really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. First of all, a huge thank you to Zelda Vox for building and sharing this team. I linked their Twitter down in the description below, as well as a rental and a paste if you want to try out the team yourselves. And with this team having multiple bird-like Pokemon, I want to know what is a bird Pokemon that you would like to buff and how would you buff it down in the comment section below. So let's just dive into the main combo. Espathra and Sandy SHOCKS. What's the general idea behind this duel? Well, first of all, you're really fast with both Pokemon. Base 101 speed on Sandy SHOCKS and base 105 speed with Espathra. And that's before you even get any speed boosts, right? Obviously, there are a fair amount of Pokemon that can outspeed these Pokemon, such as Iron Bundle and Flutter Mane, but that's exactly why you have the Booster Energy here on Sandy SHOCKS to give it an immediate speed boost. In addition, the Espathra gets access to Speed Boost, and you'll notice that the EVs are done in a way so that the Espathra actually underspeeds the Sandy SHOCKS. You might be wondering why that's the case. The general idea is that Sandy SHOCKS and Espathra as a lead is really strong. Often you'll want to double protect on the first turn so that Espathra gets a speed boost. However, after that, you still want Espathra to be slower than Sandy SHOCKS because you want Sandy SHOCKS to set up the gravity so that Hypnosis becomes 100% accurate. Then, on the third turn, basically after you get 2 speed boosts, the Espathra will then outspeed the Sandy SHOCKS, right? So then you can go for the Lumina Crash first, drop your opponent's special defense, and then kind of finish your opponent off with moves like Thunder and Earth Power. And so, it's interesting because neither of these two Pokemon necessarily do a ton of damage by themselves, but you combine it with Hypnosis Pressure and the special defense drops from Lumina Crash, and things can snowball really, really heavily. The Sandy SHOCKS here is also a really bulky Sandy SHOCKS rather than just having max special attack investment, and I think bulk makes a lot of sense on this Pokemon because you really want to, set up that gravity so that the Espathra can start just putting things to sleep. Espathra here is Fairy Terra, so you can kind of just increase your damage output while also getting rid of, for example, your weakness to Dark, which is quite nice. And overall, this is just a really strong lead duo. You also have Covert Cloak here, and so the idea behind Covert Cloak is that you can lead Espathra and Sandy SHOCKS, right? And often your opponents will be like, well, okay, it's simple, I can just fake out one of the two Pokemon. But Sandy SHOCKS has Ghost Terra, and Espathra has the Covert Cloak. So you're able to bypass fake out with both Pokemon on turn 1, essentially, allowing you to get that Gravity Hypnosis combo immediately, which is super, super sweet. And so, yeah, I think Ghost Terra really smart on this. One other thing to note with Gravity, by the way, is that it grounds your opponent's Pokemon, and so Earth Power will work against Pokemon that are Flying type or Levitators, for example. That can be kind of handy as well. But the idea is once you set up Gravity, Thunder becomes 100% accurate, as does Hypnosis, and you are in really, really good shape in terms of just dealing good damage, but also disrupting your opponent. To round out the team, you've got Talonflame. Talonflame is just nice for additional speed control, right? I think, part of the thing that can be scary with Espathra and Sandy SHOCKS is if your opponent has good speed control, like opposing Tailwind. And without Talonflame, your opponent can just Tailwind and kind of overwhelm you with speed immediately. But having Talonflame here means that you can, match opposing Tailwinds, right? So if I see a Murkrow or a Talonflame in team preview with this team, I often go with, Talonflame plus Sandy SHOCKS as a lead, since you get the booster energy immediately. Set up Tailwind, Sandy SHOCKS can set up Gravity, then it kind of waits for Espathra to come in and start clicking Hypnosis, for example. So this is a fairly straightforward Talonflame. It's double offense rather than having Will-O-Wisp, for example, and you also have Protect here. Protect is just really everywhere on this team, which is really nice, since you often want to kind of scout out for opposing Terras. Given that, for example, Talonflame is really frail, having Protect, especially since there's no Ghost Terra or Covert Cloak, means that you can, bypass a Fake Out on turn 1, which is good, and then Tailwind on turn 2. You also have Iron Bundle. This is fairly standard. The main thing to note is that instead of Icy Wind, you have Blizzard, and that's because Gravity exists on this team, so Blizzard is just 100% accurate while Gravity is up, allowing you to do a lot of nice damage with it. Icy Wind, mainly exists on Iron Bundle for speed control, but we already have decent speed control with Talonflame with Tailwind, and then also the speed boost on Espathra as well as the booster energy here on Sandy Shocks. Finally, to round out the team, you've got a very bulky Assault Vest Hydreigon as well as a Serena. I found that these two are really handy in dealing with a lot of the Trick Room-oriented compositions. Hydreigon, for example, really solid into things like Indeedee plus Armarouge because you get access to the Assault Vest plus the Snarl. It's really difficult for that duel to do too much into you. And for example, against Indeedee Armarouge, I actually really like leading Hydreigon plus the Serena because Hydreigon pressures with Snarl and Serena pressures with Taunt and U-Turn. And Queenly Majesty also helpful against Trick Room-oriented teams and just Fake Out in general, blocking all priority, right? But Hydreigon basically just super bulky, can distribute damage with Snarl, Assault Vest plus Heat Wave, and Fire Terror also allows you to deal some, fairly solid damage. And overall, this Pokemon can just be kind of annoying for opposing teams to take care of. Of course, this team indexes really heavily on special attackers between Hydreigon, the Iron Bundle, as well as Sandy Shocks, and that's because Espathra can combo Lumina Crash with any of these three Pokemon. And of course, Espathra can take advantage of special defense drops itself and also deal more damage, right? And so, yeah, that's why you have so many special attackers. Serena's the final Pokemon that I mentioned. This is Fire Terra, which obviously covers for your weaknesses into Fire and Ice. In addition, you've got Power Whip, U-Turn, Taunt, and Protect. U-Turn's nice, especially as Perish Trap usage picks up a little bit. You can use it to get rid of the trap from Gothitelle, for example. Also just hits Pokemon like Indeedee for super effective damage. Really nice into, say, something like Brute Bonnet, for example. And yeah, Serena's just really kind of anti-Trick Room, I feel like. Taunt, obviously very helpful against the Pokemon that want to set up Trick Room. And so I'd say in most of the games that I bring Serena out, it's because there's something that has Trick Room on the opposing side or something that I really value taunting, for example. And yeah, this is just a bulky Pokemon, and Power Whip can also just do really sizable damage into something like Flutter Mane, for example. So yeah. I think one thing to quickly highlight is when you use this team, obviously Espathra and Sandy Shocks is going to be a really strong lead combination, but there's actually a lot of ways to utilize this duo where you don't have them out on the field at the same time immediately. For example, I've had a lot of games where I go with an early Sandy Shocks lead, maybe with Talonflame, for example, set up that gravity, and then bring out Espathra later on. You could also go for like Serena plus Sandy Shocks and you turn out while setting up gravity. Since Serena's fairly slow, sometimes it'll move after your opponent has, then you get to bring in the Espathra in for free and then go for Hypnosis. So you don't just have to lead this. I think your opponents will often play in a way to expect you to lead it, but there's so many different combinations with the team, right? And so some modes that I've gone with, obviously, Sandy Shocks plus Espathra. If they have opposing Tailwind, I'll like Talonflame plus Sandy Shocks. If they have Trick Room, Hydreigon plus the Serena. So those are just some of the approaches that I've had so far. But let's quickly highlight some weaknesses. So, in terms of weaknesses, the first thing to highlight is, of course, this team does rely on Hypnosis plus Gravity often. You don't necessarily need it to win games, but it's one of the strongest combinations on this team. So, having good anti-sleep measures can be valuable. That can be, for example, Misty Terrain on Grimmsnarl. I actually lost against a Pincurchin Trick Room team while I was practicing with this team because Pincurchin just set up Electric Terrain. They set up Trick Room. I had no way to really come back after that. And so, that's another answer. Obviously, having like a Lumberry or a Chestoberry can be a pretty big deal as well. And so, just having anti-sleep measures in itself can be really valuable. The second is that Espathra plus the, Sandy Shocks can obviously deal decent damage, but they don't actually have that much special attack investment because both of these Pokemon are really bulky. So as a result, like even Lumina Crash into Thunder or Earth Power often is not going to get a one-hit knockout onto something. So if you have a Pokemon that can survive that duel and retaliate back for a knockout, that can be really valuable as well. So that's one thing to keep in mind. I think with Sandy Shocks in general, just a ground-type Pokemon can be kind of annoying because Thunder is obviously Sandy Shocks' strongest attack here, and it just does no damage into ground-type Pokemon. And so that can be valuable as well. And yeah, I've had games basically where I expect to get a knockout with the duo, and then I don't end up getting a knockout, and then one of my Pokemon gets KO'd in return, and then things can snowball out of control very, very quickly, and that can be a little bit scary. In terms of like some Pokemon that I've run into that have scared me a little bit, like Tyranitar is actually pretty scary, especially in Assault Vest set, because this team is mainly special, right? Lumina Crash doesn't affect Tyranitar thanks to the Dark typing, and with Assault Vest and the Sandstorm, you just take damage fairly well while also distributing a lot of damage. Breaking Focus Sash, for example, on the Iron Bundle, and Rock Slide plus Crunch just does like fairly good damage across the board. That's one Pokemon that when I see in Team Preview, I get a little bit scared of personally. I think Trick Room can still be a pretty difficult matchup. I talked about how Hydreigon plus Serena is kind of the answer for it, at least that I've approached. You could also just go with the Espathra and start clicking Hypnosis immediately. For example, you could just go Sandy Shocks, Espathra, Gravity into Hypnosis, and just try to put as many Pokemon asleep. But then the question is, how do you really deal enough damage? I think one of the matchups I played while practicing with this team, you know, it was like Armor Rouge Indy, but they had King Gambit on their team, and I was really nervous about clicking Snarl because I was like, oh, if King Gambit just switches in and gets a attack boost immediately, that could be very, very bad for me. In the end, they actually didn't even bring King Gambit, but that's something that definitely caused some concern when I saw it in team preview. And obviously, there are multiple ways to set up Trick Room. It's not just Armor Rouge and Indy. And since this team, I would say, is fairly fast-paced, if Trick Room goes up, then Espathra and Sandy Shocks, for example, are in a much worse position. And so that's one thing to watch out for. And so, yeah, those are just a couple of things that I've run into. I think another thing is bringing Pokemon that don't necessarily take great trades. For example, Talonflame and Bundle are, like, I would say, very high fast-paced, like, offensive Pokemon, but for example, Talonflame, yeah, you're bringing it often and just clicking Brave Bird once you're setting up Tailwind, but often you'll just lose it immediately afterwards, so you have to ask yourself whether or not trading it for a single Brave Bird or a single Tailwind is worth it. Bundle at least has the Focus Sash, so it can hang on for a little bit longer, but yeah, you know, that's just one thing to be careful about. And then finally, like, Fairy coverage in general is decent, right? You obviously have multiple Terras to get around it. Fire Terra here, Talonflame of course resists it, Hydreigon is Fire Terra as well, but yeah, it can be scary, especially if you, like, commit your Terra to something else early on. One other thing, by the way, is opposing Covert Cloaks. I actually had multiple matchups in practice where it would stop the Lumina Crash plus, like, you know, using one of my special attackers combo because Covert Cloak would just prevent the special defense drop, and that really threw me into a loop as well. So one very specific item choice, and it's ironic given that Espathra here has it, but that's one other thing that can stop this combo from really going off as much. So just a couple things that I run into that have given me some trouble. Let's get started with these games. All right, we have Fluttermane, Talonflame, Brute Bonnet, Dragonite, Tauros, and Scizor. This is really similar to the team by Ryota Otsubo that we featured. It just doesn't have Sandy Shocks as Dragonite. So against opposing Talonflame teams, I generally value setting up Tailwind with our Talonflame and then having like the Sandy Shocks and Espathra in the back, and then one of Hydreigon or the Bundle. Bundle offensively seems really good here, but Hydreigon's not terrible, right? Assault Vest with Fire Terra is solid, especially into their Fluttermane. Like, Hydreigon's just a lot bulkier, basically, but it's going to be slower. I kind of like having a little bit of bulk, though, here. So, let's try this out. So, one of the things that you can do with this is, like, Tailwind and then Gravity early. And then, like, the Sandy Shocks with the Booster Energy and the Espathra can kind of just start outpacing things, right? Especially after Espathra gets a speed boost. But if they didn't have Talonflame, I think I would actually just straight up lead Sandy Shocks and Espathra. But because they have Talonflame, I kind of need to set up my own Tailwind to match their Tailwind. And that's kind of the part of the reason why Talonflame exists on the team. They're going to go with Fluttermane and Scizor. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't even need to necessarily Tailwind here. Like, on turn 1, I actually want to just double protect to scout out for what they want to go for. I could totally just Bullet Punch, or sorry, Earth Power Brave Bird Fluttermane, right? But yeah, double protect here scouts out for protect from either Pokemon. I think the one downside of it is... it also scouts out for a Terra. The one downside is Scizor could, I guess, theoretically Swords Dance, and Fluttermane theoretically could Trick Room. Okay, you get the Scizor to protect. Cool. Power Gem Fluttermane. Whoa. Interesting. So honestly, even though Scizor just protected, I could see that switching out, and like, given the Power Gem, I don't know, that feels like it might even be specs. I'm down to double up on the Fluttermane here. Brave Bird and Earth Power, because Scizor doesn't really scare me that much right now. Right? Like, what's it going to do into either Pokemon here? Doesn't really have super strong, super effective damage. Yep, and there's the switch. Tauros? Yeah. Fine by me. It's Water Tauros, so Sandy Shocks would be pretty good into that. No protect here. Beautiful. Brave Bird almost gets the KO, but I'll be able to finish it off here. Perfect. This is where having that speed booster energy on Sandy Shocks is really nice. So I'd like to set up Gravity, ideally. With Tauros, I'm just curious if there's something like an Aqua Jet. I could consider a Ghost Terra with Sandy Shocks as well. I could also Flying Terra the Talonflame to get rid of the weakness to fire. Brute Bonnet comes out. Aqua Jet obviously makes a lot of sense for them to go for right now. Yeah, I mean, I actually don't hate switching in Espathra here and just protecting. Like, the downside here is if they don't even have Aqua Gen, they go for, like, I don't know, a Wave Crash instead, or they end up sporing into that slot. I like the idea of conserving Talonflame, though, because it's really good offensively into pretty much their whole team. They're going to go for a Terra of their own here. So this is a little bit risky for me, in my opinion. Tauros Terras into ground. Okay, that makes sense. Makes it so that Thunder or any electric type attacks wouldn't really do much. If I survive the turn and I don't get put to sleep with Espathra, next turn I can just go Gravity into Hypnosis. It's just close combat into Espathra, that's fine. Okay. Beautiful. And Spore into Sandy Shocks. Yeah, so I'm going to just Hypnosis plus Gravity right now. I think the main debate is with whether or not I should consider Terroring with Sandy Shocks. I think it's okay not to here, though. Because I don't really need it beyond Gravity, right? Because I'm not really doing much damage with it, so yeah. Let's just Hypnosis into Brute Bonnet and then Gravity. And I'm targeting Brute Bonnet here because the pressure of Spore really scares me. So they're not going to go for a Protect, which is great. Get my Gravity up. Beautiful. Brute Bonnet falls asleep now. And we can start dealing some more damage. Okay, and they just Wave Crash. That's fine. Yeah, like I actually prefer to Feint here with Sandy Shocks because it gives me a free switch in now. You take so much recoil, plus you have that special defense and defense drop as well. Great. Speed boost. Hydreigon should win pretty handedly against Scizor in the end game. I think I'd rather go into Talonflame here just because I don't want to risk missing with Heat Wave right now. With Talonflame, like Flare Blitz into Amoonguss is super safe. I don't think they have Aqua Jet given that they didn't go for it earlier. I guess if they had Aqua Jet and then woke up with Amoonguss, things could get a little bit awkward for me. Like, I want to just click Dazzling Gleam right now and Flare Blitz. I don't know, though. Maybe they do have Aqua Gen. They were just reading Talon into Hydreigon earlier. But Amoonguss stays asleep, so that's already really good. Okay, nice. No Aqua Jet. That Dazzling really didn't do very much damage, so that feels like Assault Vest to me. But Hydreigon should win the game for us at this point, as we get the knockout onto Amoonguss. Beautiful. Or sorry, Brute Bonnet. Probably another Wave Crash. Yeah. Into Talonflame. Perfect. Now I can just bring out the Hydreigon. And this is why I wanted to conserve Hydreigon, because I think Scizor is actually kind of scary, and Iron Bundle... I guess Iron Bundle to Scizor isn't terrible, but yeah, Espathra was just so good for us here. So I'm just going to... Oh, I guess I don't... Do I want to Fire Terra here? Like, what do I lose to right now is the main question. Does a Scizor Bullet Punch KO me? I wouldn't think so. We know you're not Choice Banded or Life Orbed. So I'm okay clicking Hypnosis. Hypnosis into Tauros. Oh, and I can't miss with Heat Wave, actually. Wait, given that I can't miss with Heat Wave, I think it's fine to just Lumina Crash into it. And Heat Wave here. I think Fire Terra here is fine, because, like, I haven't even Terra'd yet, right? And it's more likely they would click Close Combat. This allows me to do more damage with Heat Wave as well. I guess my only fear is if Scizor Bullet Punch, like, one-shot Espathra, but I really wouldn't bet on that. Okay, they don't bullet punch. And we just one-shot Tauros. Okay, nice. Then I think we're always fine here. I don't know. Like, it might have been safer to protect Espathra and actually, like... I was gonna say, yeah, protect Fire Terra Draco Meteor, I think also may have actually been better. And the main reason for that is because Scizor, I think with us having Fire Terra Hydreigon, just really can't do too much. But yeah, this game highlights how you can utilize Sandy Shocks and Espathra, right? We didn't lead it in this game, but that was okay. Like, the main thing was I saw that they potentially had Tailwind on their team. They didn't end up bringing Talonflame, but Talonflame is also just a really good offensive Pokemon in this format. As you saw, we were able to use it to beat their Flutter Mane, which was really nice. And so the main thing was setting up Tailwind and then being in a position where Espathra and Sandy Shocks could just outspeed everything. I think the most pivotal turn in this game was when they went Ground Terra and then just close combat into Talonflame, and I switched in the Espathra relatively safely without fainting, and then the Brute Bonnet was not able to get the Spore off. Spore was what I was worried about in this game, but I figured they had to respect the pressure of Sandy Shocks, and so that worked out really nicely. Once Espathra came in for free, then we were in super, super good shape. So, yeah. Alright, we got Dondozo, Tatsu, Kingambit, Iron Moth, Fluttermane, and Glamora. This may literally be the team I just featured in the most recent video. I'm pretty sure it is, given the order of the Rento code here. So if you want to try out this team, I'll link it down in the description below. Actually, no, I don't think it is. Yeah, sorry, it's actually not that team. The genders are different. Kingambit is, I just double-checked, male on the original team. So basically, a version of this team got ranked #1 on the ladder. If you want to see me try it out, I'll link it down in the description below. So I'm curious what the differences are there. The main thing is on that team, there was booster energy on the Moth. Also, how do I beat Dondozo Tatsugiri? I could put it to sleep. Like, Espathra plus the... I kind of like just going, actually, with Espathra and the Sandy Shocks here. And in the back, what do I want? I'm thinking, honestly, just Iron Bundle and Hydreigon here. Okay, let's try this out. Basically, the main thing here is if I just double protect on turn 1, Sandy Shocks plus the Espathra is looking pretty powerful. Now, the Iron Moth on the opposing side can be scary, especially if it is the Booster Energy variant, which the original version of this team that I had seen had Booster Energy, and that was one of the key reasons to use it. But they go with Dondozo and the Glamora. Okay. It's fine by me. I mean, I think turn 1, I don't mind double protecting here to scout out for what they want to do. I also could just Gravity and Hypnosis, right? The question is the Hypnosis who? I think Dondozo's in a kind of an awkward spot right now. I'm just worried about, like, them switching Tatsugiri in and getting a speed boost from it. But then I would also still potentially be faster with both, right? Okay, I'm just going to double protect on turn 1. They don't switch. Okay, cool. So I think something's protecting here, meaning whatever is protecting, I can aggressively target down next turn. Yep, Dondozo protects. Cool. Man, I could have been like super sick and just doubled up immediately onto Glamora, but I don't know if I have the conviction to do that this early on, because if that switches out into Tatsugiri, things are kind of a nightmare, right? So that's fine. I can now Hypnosis you, Terra, and Gravity. And the Terra is to just make sure I don't take super effective damage from Earth Power. Is there anyone else I'd want to Terra in this battle? No, I think this makes a lot of sense. Let's just double check. Hypnosis, Terra, Gravity. Okay, are they going to Tatsugiri? Nice. Yeah, that works for me. Like, the main thing is I've gotten a speed boost with both of these, so I'm just going to outspeed you right now. So I'm going to set up Gravity, and I'm just going to put you to sleep. The Terra here on the... yeah, on the spinny guy ends up being fairly useless. But I was fine going for it because I didn't really think I had a substantially better Terra in this game. Oh, and they're actually going to commit their Terra immediately. Okay, that works for me. Fire Terra? Wow. That is not good news for them, right? Because I'm just going to be able to Lumina Crash Earth Power you next turn. Here's Gravity. And time to take a nap. And now the thing is, we get our second speed boost with Espathra, so now we outpace our own Sandy Shocks. That's like the beauty with this team, right? Where you basically have like 2 turns, the first 2 turns, where you can outspeed your own Espathra, but now Espathra is faster, and we can start just dishing out damage. So Lumina Crash and Earth Power. Fire Terra makes sense, I guess. They were trying to, you know, like not feint to an electric type attack, like a Thunder. Dragon Terra is probably the one I was most worried about. We don't actually get the knockout there, but they stay asleep. Okay. Definitely had more favorable sleep rolls. I mean, the main thing was I guess I would say we didn't have unfavorable sleep rolls here, which was really nice. As in, like, just 1-turn wake-ups immediately. But even if they had woken up there, if you wave crash, you know, you just end up fainting. So, I felt pretty good about this spot. Lumina Crash should just KO the Dondozo. Then the Tatsugiri gets ejected out, to which then I can just click Thunder. Yeah. Beautiful. Goodbye, Dondozo. And that's one way to deal with Dondozo. How satisfying. And now I get Thunder into the Tatsugiri slot for over 50% of damage. And I think it's going to be really difficult for my opponent to win from this point, but I think a well-positioned King Gambit could still give me a lot of trouble, so I have to be careful about that, especially since I ended up committing this Ghost Terra the way I did. My question is whether or not a Dazzling Gleam from Espathra KOs the Tatsugiri. Okay, the fact that they haven't even brought out a King Gambit here makes me think there's a chance they just straight up don't, like, they don't have it. I'm fine clicking Dazzling Gleam here. I really think it should finish it off. Dazzling Gleam. The main thing is whether or not I want to read Spiky Shield here. I'm fine doubling into Tatsugiri because it carries Choice Scarf so often, but they actually... Oh, they survive with Tatsu. It's fine. I mean, it's just frustrating because I could have Earth Powered into Glamora. The reason I didn't was because I wanted to cover for Spiky Shield, Glamora, Tatsugiri, switch out into King Gambit. And it's like, yeah, you get a Power Gem off, but I'll survive with either Pokemon. Yeah, that doesn't even do half. But if we had just gotten the knockout onto Tatsugiri, Earth Power gets redirected into the Glamora. That should just be a double knockout, and we should just win immediately. Oh, but Iron Moth is their last one. Okay, sweet. So I don't think I have that much to worry about. Yeah, especially because Gravity is still up. I can just Hypnosis you. The speed boost does not really matter at all here. It is the last one of Gravity, so they should just double protect here. Given what I have in the back, I feel pretty confident in this battle anyway. So I will just Hypnosis and Earth Power you. You should double protect, and then the game will get a little bit more interesting. Because then... I guess Iron Moth could, like, overheat into the... No, but the problem with Iron Moth is as soon as you overheat, you're just at -2 special attack, and they're going to Spiky Shield with Glamora, but that means Iron Moth is attacking here. So I just put you to sleep. Yeah, I think they needed to double protect there. I guess I could get an early wake up, right? A 1-turn wake would be scary. Okay. But the thing is, yeah, I don't think a Heat Wave will actually KO Sandy Shock, so essentially the Volcarona, or sorry, the Iron Moth needs to click Overheat, but if you click Overheat, you're at -2 special attack for the remainder of the game, right? My opponent also committed their Terra, so I can just go for Lumina Crash now. Actually, I'd rather target down Iron Moth here. Yeah, I'll double up into it. And they just end up forfeiting. I actually don't know if doubling up was the correct play there, given that the Glamora just revealed Protect, because I guess Iron Moth could fish for an early wake up, but the reality is even if they get an early wake up, what are you really going to do? I think the slightly more optimal play was probably Lumina Crash and actually Gravity again with the Sandy Shock, so then I can keep going for accurate Hypnosis, but yeah. I think the main thing here is that like turns 1 and 2 played out perfectly for me. Turn 1, I baited out the Protect from Dondozo. Turn 2, I put it to sleep, and then turn 3, we were able to almost KO it. And yeah, if we gotta like, I don't know what the damage on the Dondozo there is, but if we do slightly more, we just get the knockout immediately. If that Dazzling Gleam just does a little bit more, we KO Tatsugiri. Earth Power should probably KO Glamora, and then we just like win the game immediately. But we had built up such a big lead, and I still obviously had 2 Pokemon in the back. So yeah, sometimes leading this duo can be really effective, especially if your opponent doesn't have a great way to just like outpace either Pokemon, and that is normally when they don't have like an immediate like Tailwind or Trick Room, for example. So really happy to showcase that duo in particular as a lead combination here. Whoa, there's a Luxray. That's already really cool. Mousehold, Palafin, Rory Moon, Annihilate, and the Fluttermane. So obviously Mousehold and Annihilate is a combo on the team. Luxray normally used for Intimidate, kind of like a bulky Intimidate user that can switch in and out. The good thing is we rely mainly on special attackers here, so that's not as much of an issue. I think Mousehold and an Annihilate is probably one of the lead combos to just be wary of. It's pretty scary, honestly. But I'm honestly happy with just the Sandy Shock's Espathra lead here again. If they go Mousehold plus Annihilate, I could just Gravity and then Hypnosis into Annihilate. And I can Fairy Terra here defensively. But I mean, a Rage Fist I don't think would KO without any stacks anyway. But I like this. I think Hydreigon is a decent Terra candidate into Fluttermane. It also is okay into Palafin. And I think we just go with Unbundle for the last one. Serena's actually somewhat interesting here. But I don't know. In my experience, I've mainly brought out Serena in matchups against Trick Room. And like it's really solid into Trick Room because you can deny potential Fake Out from Iron Hands and you ignore Rage Powder from Amoonguss / Brute Bonnet. And you have Taunt into things like Indeedee as well as Armarouge. And you have U-Turn to pivot out. So it's a really cool answer against Trick Room teams. But in this matchup, I don't think it makes that much sense. Anyway, it's going to be Annihilate and the Roaring Moon. I mean, Espathra could just Dazzling Gleam here. Okay, they do have a booster energy, but it goes after hours, so it's an attack boost? Yeah. I'm generally okay with the double protect here on turn 1. I think it's just generally safe. Like, the things to worry about, I mean, I don't know, even if you Dragon Dance, I would be able to Gleam you. I just, like, think they're kind of forced to Terra right now with at least one of the 2 Pokemon, and I'd love to see who Terras first. Right. Get some information. Then the next turn I can go Gravity, Hypnosis, and then turn 3 start going for Dazzling Gleam or Lumina Crash plus Earth Power / Thunder. I could push the tempo a little bit immediately on turn 1, but I don't want to get baited into playing offensively, and they actually end up not tearing either. So I feel like is Roaring Moon protecting here? If not, then I'm like, oh, I totally could have just gone Dazzling Gleam. But let's see. Oh my gosh, they have so much oh wow, that was sick. Maybe they just didn't know about Dazzling Gleam from Espathra, because that is a pretty high risk play in my opinion. But nicely done. Ooh, I really don't know about the speed tiers right now and like the order of speed. Wow, they just straight up went for a Tailwind. I also didn't expect Tailwind given that they were an attack booster energy rather than a speed booster energy. So, like, I didn't feel like I needed to play around that option, but that's really cool. Funny, because if I just went, like, Dazzling Gleam and Gravity Throw, I feel like I'd be in amazing shape. But I think I probably defensively Terra Espathra now. So I'm going to Gravity, Defensive Terra, and I'm actually going to Hypnosis into this. I just don't know how fast Annihilate is. Like, Tailwind relative to Espathra with this 1 speed boost. Wow, 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 wow. Yeah, so I did play a little too passive on turn 1. I think, Dazzling Gleam plus, like, Earth Power would have totally worked. Yeah, they Throat Chop, though. That's fine. Yep, Sandy Shocks is faster. It's my Vital Spirit! What? No way. Okay, that's fine. It doesn't really do much damage to me. Espathra actually kind of walls it right now, so it could be a lot worse. Now we're at +2 speed. I can just put this to sleep. I am going to Earth Power you and Hypnosis you. I mean, the alternative is I could actually double up onto Annihilate right now, because... But I don't think Annihilate really threatens either Pokemon right now, so I'd rather apply maximum pressure onto Roaring Moon, because that's a lot scarier. So I'm gonna Earth Power and Hypnosis. What a start to this game, though. Attack, Booster Energy... Okay, they switched. That's fine by me. Switch makes sense. It's gonna be Luxray coming in. Oh, that's just gonna get dunked on by Earth Power now. I wouldn't expect it to one-shot, though, but yeah, let's see. Okay. They also give up their attack boost that way, so I'll take it. There's Earth Power. Is that Assault Vested? It took it so well. And there's Bulk Up from Annihilate. Okay, Bulk Up's not really that scary because I could totally just go for Lumina Crash. Like here I'm down to Thunder plus Lumina Crash into Annihilate. Annihilate should protect here in my opinion, but they're also stalling out their own Tailwind, and Luxray has to guarantee take a turn of sleep right now. Talk about surprises though. I still don't regret the way I played turn 1, though, especially in a best of 1 with, like, so little information. Okay, really nice damage from Lumina Crash. Now, this is activating Defiant, right? So it's a little bit risky. Oh, wait, sorry. There is no Defiant. It's Vital Spirit. Beautiful, and we get the KO. You can see, like, I'm so thrown off by Vital Spirit. Like, even after seeing it, I still expect Defiant. It's just a big surprise. Opponent still has not committed a Terra, but even with, I would say, a fairly disastrous... It wasn't that disastrous, I guess, but it was one of those where it's like I could have gotten so much more value if I just clicked Dazzling Gleam on turn 1. But yeah, it's been fine. And you can see kind of the problem with Annihilate, right? Like Rage Fist, just really not that scary until you get a couple of stacks. And so I'm being intentional and not just like slowly giving free damage away to the opposing side, right? So this comes back out. I'm happy to just click Dazzling Gleam here. Actually, the safer play is to Earth Power Luxray, since there's still 2 turns of Gravity and Hypnosis into Roaring Moon. Because I think they kind of need to protect their Terra now, right? Because you know I have Dazzling Gleam. So, yep, there's Protect. Beautiful. We get a knockout onto Luxray, so the game is 4-2 in my favor now. I feel like that's got to be Assault Vest, though, and we were lucky enough to get that special defense drop. If I didn't get the special defense drop, I may have considered just Dazzling Gleam Earth Power instead, but the thing is, Luxray switched into the Hypnosis, and so puts it into a really awkward spot. Still no Terra from their end. We've seen Protect, Tailwind, and the Throat Chop from the Roaring Moon, so it only has one other attack. And you bring out Flutter Mane. Now, the downside is actually Hydreigon can't Terra, so I actually have to be a little bit careful about that, right? Yeah, wait, hold on. This isn't over by any means. Like, it makes sense for Roaring Moon to Terra now, right? Just that Tailwind, like, kind of like spooked me out a little bit. This seems wild, but I'm actually going to double Protect because I feel like, wow, they did not Terra with either. So the risk in this is that they might actually just click Tailwind, but that was a wild thought to me. Shadow Ball into Espathra. And Acrobatics, okay. Yeah, my play here was a little bit risky, but essentially I wanted to see what was going to go for a Terra. Although... It's funny, like I feel like maybe I should be learning from my lesson after, you know, the first game, or the first turn. No Terra from either is definitely shocking, though, I have to say. I'm going to Gravity here, and just Dazzling Gleam. Yeah, I have pretty good confidence with Bundle in the back, but now they could obviously protect Roaring Moon. just, like, the lack of a Terra is kind of wild to me. And they still don't Terra. Okay. They actually take that better than I would have expected. So that makes sense. They don't feel the need to maybe Terra quite yet. They Shadow Ball now onto Sandy Shocks. Fine. And Acrobatics. Wow, Espathra hangs on too. Yeah, I was like, I'm not missing them having gone for a Terra at some point, right? I'm okay just clicking Thunder plus Lumina Crash. Okay, they end up forfeiting. Could have been a slightly cleaner endgame on my end, but that game was just full of surprises. Attack, Tailwind, Roaring Moon, Vital Spirit, Annihilate, no Terra. Because, like, I think a Terra from... No, I don't think a Terra from Annihilate would have saved them from the combo, but I think a Terra from Roaring Moon would have made some sense to me to at least take less damage, or a Terra with the Fluttermane to do more damage. Roaring Moon, honestly, like, Acrobatics feels so much weaker than it should be, but that's why, like, Flying Terra is occasionally used on it to boost that damage output. But, yeah, I think the main thing was, even though the first 2 turns were kind of awkward, we were able to still snowball the game, and, like, Sleep Pressure from Hypnosis is still just so strong, and this duel is actually fairly bulky as well, so we're not just getting, like, one shot by Pokemon. So, yeah. Okay, this is a very similar version to Wolf's winning team from Orlando Regionals with Perish Trap, but it's got Iron Hands instead. I don't remember if... So Justin Burns, who's a really strong player, used, like, this team basically to win an online tournament. And I don't remember if the Iron Hands was, like, Swords Dance or Belly Drum. But obviously I have to worry about the Gothitelle Trap. So how do I get out of Trap? The U-turn from Serena. I think Serena is actually just really solid here in general because it blocks that Fake Out. I was talking about it earlier, but immunity to Fake Out is really nice, and, you know, preventing the other Pokemon from getting Faked Out is also pretty solid. And it can also pivot out with U-turn. The question is what I want to lead next to it, because I have to be very careful about just not getting trapped in immediately. I don't... Talonflame weird. It's actually not bad here. But I'd only be really using it for one Brave Bird, in my opinion. I'm not sure that's worth it. Okay, I'm actually going to go... I like this. Do I want Bundle or Hydreigon as the last one? I think I like Bundle a little bit more. So here's the logic. With Serena plus the Sandy Shocks, I can set up Gravity with Sandy Shocks and also U-turn with Serena. And by setting up Gravity, then I can bring out the Espathra and then Hypnosis afterwards, right? And so even if you lead Gothitelle, it's not that bad. But they're going to go with Fluttermane and Iron Hands, okay? Against this, what do I want to do? Huh. I honestly don't hate just Power Whipping Fluttermane straight up and then protecting turn 1. And the logic there is that Power Whip should bring Fluttermane down to a Focus Sash, and I know you can't Fake Out into Serena right now, and I also don't expect Fluttermane to be able to get a one-hit knockout onto Serena. The only downside is I could miss Power Whip. They could also protect, obviously, with the Fluttermane. So, let's see. I'm glad to bring Serena out into a battle, because obviously I didn't feature it in any of the other games. I think Serena, like I said, once again, I bring into like Trick Room-oriented matchups. They actually switch out Fluttermane. Okay. Into a Moongus. Oh, if this is Swords Dance or Belly Drum coming out from Iron Hands, I'm in a ton of trouble. They're going to commit the Terra defensively, probably into Grass. Maybe I should have covered for Swords Dance or Belly Drum. Because I actually think if that goes up right now, I'm actually not quite sure how I can win this game. Actually, no, I see a... no, Amoonguss probably has Mentorb. So the taunt doesn't actually solve things. Good play by them. That was a really nice play. Okay, but they just went for Drain Punch, so could be worse. The problem is, if you do have Mentorb on Amoonguss, which I'd expect you to have, it's a free Spore, and I don't have a way around that right now. Okay, I guess the main thing, though, is that, like, I can U-turn with Serena into Iron Hands and Gravity. Actually, I'd rather target... The thing is that this can heal back with Regenerator. This can heal up back from Amoonguss with Pollen Puff. But yeah, I'm going to U-turn Iron Hands and Gravity right now. Because, like, I don't think you're ever going to Spore into Serena. So then Espathra comes in for Serena and can then put the Amoonguss to sleep with the Hypnosis. Decent damage with U-turn. The way they position Amoonguss in this game was really smart, though. Like, that turn 1 to turn 2. Yeah, I'll go into Espathra. Okay. Drain Punch into Sandy Shocks. Yeah, that's fine for now. It's mainly that I was able to get Espathra in and I can start putting things to sleep with Hypnosis. And they Spore into that slot. That's fine. I think the debate here is whether or not they protect with Amoonguss, because I want to just Hypnosis and switch out into Iron Bundle, because then I can just apply pressure with Blizzard next turn. The one downside in this is, like, Bundle might eat up a Drain Punch, but because I have Focus Sash, I do want to start exerting pressure more. The problem is that the Sandy Shocks is just not really doing much damage, even if I get the, like, Lumina Crash combo off, because Thunder is just not that strong to grass types here, right? Whereas, obviously, Bundle was really strong with Blizzard into both of these. It does feel a little bit bad to give up this speed boost on Sandy Shocks, though. And yeah, like, the way they position Amoonguss to put me to sleep was really smart in this match. Okay, Amoonguss just Rage Powders. I actually think that's the best possible outcome, because now your Amoonguss has no chance of waking up next turn, right? Which is such a big deal here. Because it means I can actually just go for Lumina Crash and Blizzard probably into the Iron Hands. Beautiful. Basically, the debate here is, do I think Lumina Crash and Blizzard KOs? I want to maximize my Gravity turn, so I want to, like, pick up the pace, basically. I can also Ice Terra Bundle. Like, I want to Lumina Crash here, Ice Terra, and Blizzard. Like, the thing is, Hypnosis is guaranteed. I'm just, like, playing a little bit greedy because I know I only have 2 Gravity turns after this. But if I can pick up a double knockout here, even if you bring out 2 Pokemon and you protect both, I still have 1 more Gravity turn, which allows me to Hypnosis, which is a really big deal. So, I'm going to go for it. Lumina Crash drops special defense. Amoonguss can't Rage Powder, can't wake up. Also, just Blizzard, like Ice Terra here into Amoonguss is also just sweet. I wonder if it's enough for a 1-hit knockout. Yeah. I guess if I knew my damage calcs a little bit better here, like if I knew it was a guaranteed KO, I'd feel more conviction going for this. If I knew it wasn't a KO, Hypnosis is safer. No protects, no switches. I don't know. It's super effective. -2, Ice Terra as well. I'd be shocked if Iron Bundle survives, but this Pokemon is incredibly bulky. And we get the KO. I said Iron Bundle, by the way. I meant hands. We get the crit onto the Amoonguss. Maybe that mattered. I don't know that damage calc and how much special defense investment they had. But the thing is, because they went for Rage Powder last turn, that thing was never waking up this turn. Beautiful. And this is my point. There's still 2 turns of Gravity right now, right? So, the main thing is I wanted to try to put the Flutter Mane to sleep. Gothitelle comes out. Okay. And Flutter Mane. The other nice thing right now is I have the Covert Cloak on Espathra, which you're probably not expecting. So I'm going to just Hypnosis into Flutter Mane here. I could still lose the game theoretically with Flutter Mane, but I think Serena's late game damage output's also looking pretty solid. Happy clicking Hypnosis into Flutter Mane here, and just Protect. Do I think I feint to Fake Out plus Shadow Ball actually is the debate? Because they can double up onto Bundle, though I find that really surprising. I do think Protect is the correct play here. Just no need to risk Fake Out plus double up into that slot. Yep, and they target Espathra, and we've got Covert Cloak, so I still get my Hypnosis off. Beautiful. And now I can go for the... I guess the main debate is whether or not I should go for the double up onto Flutter Mane. Because Flutter Mane could wake up, but I don't think Gothitel's really doing anything to scare me here anyway. So I want to just like Lumina Crash into it and Hydro Pump into it. 2/3 of the time we just win the game guaranteed. They might also not be clicking Protect here, so they don't click Protect. This also wins me the game. They did correctly try to go for Protect. So I got lucky throughout the course of this episode. Like none of my opponents got a 1-turn wake up, which made the games a lot easier for me. I think realistically we still had a really good chance of winning this game, even if they wake up there. But yeah, I was like willing to take this chance because it was like it's a 2/3 chance to just immediately win the game. And even if they wake up, what is Gothitelle going to do? The answer is a Psychic here, probably into Bundle. Yeah, that is the correct play to make, right? Because then you still apply a lot of pressure with Flutter Mane, and then things could get a little bit scarier. Let's say they actually got that Protect off, or they woke up and got Protect off. What would I have done from there? I would probably just Lumina Crash the next turn, and then like Serena is fairly strong this endgame. But yeah, I think they actually had decent comeback potential with the Flutter Mane potentially. So maybe it wasn't the correct play then to go for that, because I think if you're in their shoes, you always like both of the last 2 turns before this one. I think I played not perfectly, and I figured I didn't need to play perfectly because I had built up such a crazy lead, right? But given that Sandy Shocks was asleep and didn't have any sleep turns taken yet, I don't know, it still could have been kind of scary. The main thing is though, after Illumina Crash, Serena should be able to just knock out the Flutter Mane, but I'm risking like a Moonblast critical hit, or I miss Power Whip. A Power Whip miss would be really scary in my opinion. Okay. Brown Serena. This combo is legit though. I am really impressed by it, and I love this team. Like, it's so well composed. We can just Dazzling and U-turn now. Cool. I think a lot about this team is like figuring out ways to position Espathra and the Sandy Shocks. It's not about always just leading it, and the U-turn on Serena was really nice to like be able to allow us to pivot out potentially into it, right? As a lead option. So yeah, in the end, like Perish, not really as scary. I think part of what helps with this team is because you have the speed advantage and you can put things to sleep. If you put things to sleep on the opposing side, they can't protect, right? And if they can't protect, it makes it a lot harder to actually stall out those turns of Perish, especially like if you're able to nail Gothitelle with the Hypnosis, for example. And yeah, like their best option to Perish here was of course the Flutter Mane, but that team is really different when it doesn't have the Screamtail, because Screamtail is such a critical member in getting a speed boost and then being able to disable things and also click Perish on. But without Screamtail, you only have one Perish user available in Flutter Mane, and that's not as scary. So yeah, I was really impressed by this team, and I think these games hopefully showcased how good this combo can be. It's honestly a lot more legit than I think a lot of people give it credit for, and so happy to showcase some strong battles with it. With that, we actually got into the top 100 of the ranked ladder, which I think is also pretty cool. And, you know, my ranking always fluctuates a ton between different games and different episodes. And it's because I just try out so many different teams. And often there'll be times where I actually just try out a team, like lose a lot of games with it and realize I'm just not very good with that team and maybe like don't want to feature it immediately for that given day. And so my ranking literally can be as low as like, you know, the tens of thousands. And right now, obviously, we had a nice win streak with this one as well as some of the previous teams I featured. And so the thing about climbing the ladder is often kind of like peaking at the right time and finding a team that really works for you, and you know, getting some good RNG on the way throughout as well in terms of matchups as well as just in-game RNG. And for example, for this team, I did not get any one-turn wake-ups, which made it so much easier to play. Like a single one-turn wake-up in any of those matches would have made things a little bit more difficult. And I was like kind of aggressively trying to just go for the wins when I figured, okay, the odds are more in my favor, especially like this last game, for example. So yeah. Anyway, I am really impressed by Sandy Shocks and Espathra a lot. It's a lot more legit than I think a lot of people give it credit for, and hopefully this episode can showcase it. I do think that things would play out really differently if things were waking up immediately after the first turn, and so I was never like challenged fully in this one because I got pretty lucky with sleep rolls. And so if your opponents are just waking up immediately, then obviously you have to approach it in kind of a different manner. But yeah, thanks as always for joining me, and I will see you all soon. All right, peace.